Hello and welcome to today's webinar. A little housekeeping before we begin. Everyone is muted during the webinar. All webinars will be recorded and sent to all attendees after the webinar has concluded. Tomorrow, the webinar will be sent out to all participants. There will be a Q&A at the end of the presentation, but please feel free to ask questions during the webinar by clicking on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Once the presentation concludes, I will ask the questions presented in the Q&A box or chat feature. I might not get to everyone's questions, but we will do our best. With that being said, I would like to introduce you to Ruben Franco, President and CEO of the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Edna, and welcome everybody to this call. I want to thank Ryan from LinkedIn for his partnership on this. The Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has been around 35 years starting next year. We've been around to serve and help businesses. We're also the proud host of a small business development center to help people start, grow, and fund their business, and busy helping people with the EIDL loan and the PPP loan and the forgiveness loan. If you do need to reach out to us during this time, as far as filling out any of those applications or just need some no-cost business consulting, you can reach us at 1-800-616-7232. And it's now my pleasure to introduce to you from LinkedIn, Ryan Zervakos. Ryan.
Thanks so much, Ruben and Edna. Really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys. As Ruben said, my name is Ryan Zervakos. I've been with LinkedIn now for about 4.5 years. My role at LinkedIn is a sales role. I actually sell one of our products enterprise-wide, and I work with colleges and universities here in California. But so this is not my normal role, but after coming over to LinkedIn and seeing what LinkedIn is trying to accomplish and how we can have an impact with we call LinkedIn our flagship product, linkedin.com. This is one of my passions. My passion is really to talk to anybody who will listen about LinkedIn and give you guys or give anybody who is interested in hearing an insider's perspective on what are the best practices and how are we building a product that we hope will make an impact. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to cover a little bit of the fundamentals of where LinkedIn is coming from. And then instead of spending an entire hour going through a slide deck, I'm going to actually jump into LinkedIn, and I want to show you guys some of the things that you can do on LinkedIn and how you can navigate and grow your network and really make LinkedIn work for you. I did get a question in the Q&A about sharing the PowerPoint presentation, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to Ruben and Edna, and they can disseminate, and so anybody can have this slide deck. So thank you for asking that. Really appreciate it. The slide deck, truth be told, was actually created by a former student at UCI. And so this slide deck really goes into detail on the how. How do you actually practically apply some of the tips I'm going to give you today? And so it's really a powerful deck created by somebody who's really been able to use LinkedIn the way I'm recommending, or I'm going to recommend. And I'm going to actually show you some of his information to give you an idea. So let's start with the why on LinkedIn. And I always like to start with our vision. And our vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Now, economic opportunity means different things to different people. From a LinkedIn perspective, when I think of economic opportunity, I think of career growth, or if you're a business owner, growing your business. Economic opportunity is just a nice way of saying being able to generate some revenue, or career pathing. And that's kind of been an obvious thing that we've done for a long time, but because of the way we started, there's been a disconnect in who we are today as opposed to who we were even just 4 or 5 years ago. The other thing I want to focus on is that word every. We want to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, not just your office professionals, not just people that have a 4-year degree or an advanced degree or have 10 or 20 years of work experience. We want to create a platform for everyone. So you will see me talking about things that you might not have thought of LinkedIn as more of a social network and as more as more authentic and less resume-y. And that's on purpose. We want to make this product something that everybody feels comfortable with, even if you are if you're a rancher or a farmer, an auto mechanic, where you don't necessarily associate LinkedIn with somebody who works on cars. That's where we want to go with our platform because we want it to be more inclusive. And so these are some things that we can work on together. Now, when it comes to what LinkedIn is about, there are a few things I want to cover. The first is we are at 675 million members. Actually, this slide is a little bit old. We just eclipsed 680 million members, 690 million members, now that I mention it. We're adding about 2 new members per second. Now, one of the big differences between us and just about any other social media platform is our desire to, and our protocols to eliminate fake profiles. We eliminate 99% of fake profiles from ever being put on the platform. I'm not saying it's completely, every single profile is not fake, but what I am telling you is that for the vast majority of people that are putting content on LinkedIn or their profiles, they are real and authentic, and we validate them. And even with that, we are still growing at a rate of about 2 new members per second. Jason, you asked a question about how long has LinkedIn been around? We've been around since 2003. Really went into kind of getting the platform up and running in 04, 05, went public in 2010, and then we were acquired by Microsoft in 2016. So we are now a Microsoft company for the past 3.5 years. So with the number of people on our network, the most powerful thing about being having a network or a social media platform that prides itself on eliminating the ability to hide behind a veil of anonymity is that you have an ability to really focus on authenticity, integrity, and trust within your platform. And that is something different than what you're going to experience when you're experiencing the other major social media platforms out there. And it's something I'm very passionate about, and so is our company. And that leads me to a little bit more, feeling much more comfortable talking to anyone on the socioeconomic spectrum, anybody that's interested in getting somewhere with their career, because for the most part, you're going to have a much different experience on LinkedIn than you will on any other social media platform. Now, for those of you in business, you may be using some of the other platforms like Facebook and Insta and these others to get business, and I get it. But LinkedIn is going to be a lot different than those because of the type of profile that we have and the high bar we set to create a profile. Now, one of the things that people don't know is that we don't get most of our revenue from premium. So I'm not here today to sell you premium. I'm here today to talk to you about all the free things you can do with LinkedIn. So where does LinkedIn get our revenue? We get our revenue from corporate America, our recruiting module. So 90% of corporate recruiters are using LinkedIn to find talent. We also have a marketing module for business owners to market themselves, advertise. We have a sales module for business owners to use so they can find business opportunities on LinkedIn as well. Those are our other product lines, along with the product line I sell, which is LinkedIn Learning. 70 million of our users are senior level influencers, meaning when we say influencers, I'm not talking about like TikTok influencers or your Instagram influencers. I'm talking about influencers within their own organization. So we're talking, managers, senior level managers, VPs, CEOs, C-level executives. Those are senior level influencers within an organization. These are the people that have the ability to make decisions and make an impact. We also have over 50 million users that are in decision-making positions, and quite a few people posting content on a regular basis. This is the last slide I'm going to cover, and then I'm actually going to jump into LinkedIn. And again, please fire off any questions that you guys have. Happy to answer them along the way. When you think of LinkedIn, what I'd like for you to do, and this is probably the most important slide, if you take a snapshot, a mental snapshot of today's presentation, I want you to remember this slide. If we think of LinkedIn as a place for economic opportunity, that economic opportunity comes if you do three things, all right? The first thing is establish your profile. Establishing your profile is not a resume. It's not supposed to be a resume. Now, you can upload your resume to LinkedIn, and this is part of the disconnect that we have, is that LinkedIn started by being more of a resume repository than a place to connect. It was kind of a little bit of both, but they started with, hey, let's bring on our resumes and make it a digital resume. So you still have this underlying mentality that LinkedIn is a place for your resume. It is not. It is a brand. It's a personal and professional brand. So I want you guys to think about that. I'm going to show you some people that have branded themselves on LinkedIn and how that might relate to you. So that's the first thing you need to do, and that's what 690 million people have done. The second thing you need to do is to build your network. You got to grow your network. I'm sure you all have heard it's not just what you know, it's who you know. We know that now more than ever. On LinkedIn, your network is going to be the key to creating opportunity for you, whether you're a business owner or whether you're a person looking for growth within your career. Usually your network is going to be the ones that are going to help you get to the next level in your career, whether internally or externally. So you got to grow your network. And here's an interesting statistic that you guys more than likely have never heard. We know, obviously, we keep track of what goes on LinkedIn. It might surprise you to know that with our 690 million members, the average number of profile connections is only 2. It's only 2. So the majority, so of this 690 million, I would say 400 million of those, roughly, do not have any network whatsoever. So they're on the platform and they just have a profile, which is great. It's a great start, but it really isn't going to do much for them. So now we've got probably about 40% of our network that really is engaged. And that's one of the things that we're working on is bumping up this engaged network. Engaged, we call it an engaged quality member, somebody who's actually growing their network and on LinkedIn regularly. But that's step 2. That's the thing you need to do as well. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in my presentation. The last thing I'm going to talk about, or the third thing that you need to do, is thought leadership. Thought leadership is just a fancy way of saying posting content. You got to post content on LinkedIn in order to get the most out of it. Now, for those of you that are like me and you're on other social media, like maybe Instagram or I'm not on TikTok, but other social media platforms, think about those platforms. They would be nowhere without content. There would be no Insta, there would be no Snap, there would be no TikTok without people posting content. And the deal with LinkedIn is that people still think of it as a resume place or a place I just go to apply for jobs. So they're not posting any content. So of our 680 million members, roughly 0.5% are posting content on a regular basis. So if you do these 3 things that I'm telling you right now, you immediately will go to the top 0.5% of users on LinkedIn. Now talk about being able to build your brand very quickly. Talk about being able to make an impact really quickly. I normally do these workshops for students. And so their goal as a student is to get a job. And we know at LinkedIn, in order to get a job, you need a network. We know that 70% of jobs that are filled on LinkedIn are filled because of a network. So if you're not in a position where you need a job, but you want to use LinkedIn to expand your career and enhance your career opportunities, being present on LinkedIn and putting your voice out there, that's going to make the difference for you, period. Because it will elevate your stature within the platform and elevate how many people see your profile and how much impact you have. That's the best thing too, is that you guys can have an impact. Every one of us can have an impact because it's free. You can do this for free. The last thing that we believe in is this idea of continual learning. So you want to be a continual learner on the platform. And there are all kinds of ways you can do that. We do have LinkedIn Learning, but that is a separate thing. I'm not going to talk about that because it is not free. But the idea of being a continual learner is always going to help within our culture. If we do all of these things, this is what we think of when we talk about creating economic opportunity. Giving you guys a platform to share your voice, to grow your network, and to provide thought leadership all in one place with anybody on our platform. All right, so that's the end of my extensive slide deck. Again, the rest of this slide deck goes into the how do I think of my profile as a brand? How do I build my network? How do I think about thought leadership? I'm going to show you some of that as well right now too, but this way you can have something to review at another time. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. Let's start with profiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a couple of profiles. I'm actually going to show you my brother's profile. So just a little background about my brother. He worked for, if you scroll down here, you'll notice he worked for IBM for about 5.5 years. And what happened a while ago is that IBM had to divest his division. So he no longer works for IBM, but he's doing the same exact job for the same exact people now for a much smaller company. And what happened is that, as you guys can imagine, when you have a big change like that, things don't normally always stay the same. And so he was a little bit concerned about where the direction of the company was going. And this happened about four or 5 months ago. So right around the beginning of the year. And he reached out to me and he's like, hey, I just want to be prepared. I want to be prepared for opportunity. I want to be prepared if I need to make a quick change. What do I do? And I told him the same thing I'm telling you guys. I'm showing the wrong screen. Are you guys not seeing? Are you guys seeing my LinkedIn profile or no? No, we don't see your presentation. Okay, hang on a second. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay, in the Q&A, are you guys able to see my desktop now? Can you see my desktop? Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you guys, appreciate that. So, technology, isn't it great? All right, so this is my brother's profile. And getting back to what I was saying, the idea here for him is that he's mid-career and he wanted to open himself up to other opportunities. And I'm like, look, what you need to do with LinkedIn is you need to show your authentic self, like be yourself and talk a little bit about something that is more compelling than a resume. Because what he had before, because he's in sales, as I'm in sales, was this idea of the about section being a summary. Like, here are all the accomplishments I did, and here's how great I am as a salesperson. And you know what? While that's important, it isn't compelling in any way, right? Everybody's going to say they're a great salesperson. Everybody's going to say they're fantastic at what they do. Nobody's going to not say that. So what we want you to think about LinkedIn is we want you to think about a way you can do both. You can talk about your successes, but you can also talk about yourself and who you are as a person and where your culture and your values are, especially today. And so I want to show you what his profile is. Again, just to start with, you'll notice a profile picture. You got to have a background photo as well. For those of you that don't have a background photo, I highly recommend you do it. You got 20 seconds to make a first impression. And the first thing people are going to see is your profile pic, which doesn't have to be a professional pic, quote unquote. You can do a selfie or a headshot. Background photo is super important. And then right here underneath your headline, I really feel like it should be more aspirational. You'll notice here, he talks about, focusing, on building mutually beneficial partnerships, something that's a little bit more of a headline as opposed to, this is my job and this is where I go to school. And then the about section, this is your gold mine. This is your area for real estate where on LinkedIn to share your story and to start crafting your brand. And this is the difference between what I share with most people and what most people do. So I want to read Richie's about section. He talks about being the ultimate generalist in a world where technology can specialize in anything. He says professionally, his job is absurd. He gets to build relationships with great people who care about what they do and they get to win together. Some of his best friends are people who've been clients at one time or another. And he says the road isn't always smooth, but you get to build relationships like these by navigating success and struggle in an open, authentic way. He talks about what he does personally, right? He's a lifelong learner, podcasting, radio, cello, He wrote a 50,000 word novel for National Novel Writing Month. Most importantly, he is the universally relied upon as the guy who picks the restaurant. These days, he's learning the guitar. He wants to play blues solo, and he's addicted to learning new things. Now, because he's my brother, right? I'm in touch with him all the time. He put this on LinkedIn. He's been on LinkedIn for years. He put this on LinkedIn, changed his about section. Literally the next day, he sent me a text, and a recruiter reached out to him and said, I love your profile and your about section. We want to work with you. Now, truth be told, that was pre-COVID, and that does not happen all the time. But my point with this is that I want you guys to think about LinkedIn as a place where you can tell your story. You can talk about what your business does, what you do, why you do it, what you do outside of work, so that it's much more compelling. So this is a kind of a sea change for what most people think of LinkedIn, and how people think of LinkedIn. Now, I do get some feedback from people where they like, I don't want this to be Facebooky, and I get it. It's not going to be. But you can talk about what you love to do outside of work, because that's who we are as people. So I just want to put that out there, that this is a place for you to be much more authentic when you're talking about your profile. I'll show you let me show you Jermaine. So Jermaine is another good example of somebody. Now, Jermaine is the young man who put together the slide deck I just showed you. Now, he was able to get a job with Oracle and the division of Oracle called NetSuite right out of college because of all of his use of LinkedIn. So you'll see his headshot and his background photo. Now, for you guys that are in business, or business owners, or even if you're working for a company, I'll show you my profile in a second. I'm helping brand my company. I love my company. I love what I do. Jermaine loves his company. He loves what he does. So when you go to his brand, when you go to his page, you see that part of his brand is that he's passionate about where he works, and he's helping, advertise, for lack of a better term, or disseminate that brand with his background photo. You can see what his headline is, right? And then we'll come down here to his about section. He's focused on career, community, cause. Let's have fun and get shit done. You can see what he wants to talk about with regard to the mission with what he's doing, right? And he's really focusing on his product here. And he also talks about what he likes to do himself. So he hits all of the things I was mentioning, right? Which is being authentic, kind of being creative, but also focusing on your business brand. So letting people know who you are and what you're doing. And again, comparing this to a resume, there's no comparison. You can't do this on a resume. And so this is where the profile is super, super differentiated. Now, one other thing you can do on the profile that very few people do is you can take advantage of this featured section. This featured section is free, again, and it's where you can add video content. You can add PowerPoint presentations, PDF documents, Word documents. You can add information that is going to make your profile a little bit more three-dimensional. So if you want to help sell the product or help brand your organization, you can use this featured section to do that. Because remember, at the end of the day, if you're using all of the tools we're talking about today, which is, content and network, what the goal is, in my opinion, is when you're posting content is for people to grow, to become part of your network. In order to become part of your network, they normally click on your profile. They want to see who they're connecting with. When they click on your profile, they're usually not going to scroll down through every single thing. Very, very few people do. What are they going to do? They're going to look at the top portion, the headline. They're going to see the about section. And since it's not a resume, they're actually going to read it. And then they might see your featured section. What are the chances they go much further than that? I don't know. I don't think very much. We know that the most important aspects of your profile outside of your experience section, when you're looking for a job, the most important parts of your profile really are the about section and your profile picture. And the featured section is right behind that. So this gives you an idea of best practices for a profile that allows you to take advantage of all of the features that are on LinkedIn. Any questions about the profile in and of itself, adding content to the profile, anything like that, before I move on to the next thing? All right, cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is growing your network. And so there are a couple of things that you guys can do to grow your network. And again, I mainly, I've focused most of my, Jose, I'm going to get to hashtags in just a second. You can use hashtags within your profile if you want to. Like, you can use hashtags anywhere you want within the about section. Mainly people use hashtags and tag people in posts, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. But you can definitely use hashtags if you want to in your profile, but most people don't do it. Erica, is it recommended to add your contact info in your profile? So here's where I would go with your contact info. You can see Jermaine, right? So LinkedIn is a platform where your idea is to be public. You can hide everything if you want to. We definitely give you permission. We have the ability for you to make yourself super private, but it kind of defeats the purpose of LinkedIn by being private. So the idea is that you're gonna want to put the information you want people to see. Would I put my personal home address? Like, for example, let's say I upload a resume. I would definitely take off my home address, and I would probably take off my my home phone number. That's what I would do. But everything else that you want people to see, I would definitely put it out there. So you can see here, Jermaine has his you can contact him directly where he wants you to contact him. But I definitely would not put my personal email address out there. I would not put my home address out there, and I would not put my phone number out there. That you want to give to people that you know. Hugo, you asked what elements should we include in the about section. So the about section, I really feel is, we used to call it the summary section, but people used to summarize their work history and make it more like a cover letter. Think of the about section as a place to talk about you. What do you want to accomplish? Like, where are you in your career? Where are you going with where you are right at this moment? Think about it that way. So, for example, if we take the two profiles I just showed you, Richie and Jermaine. Jermaine is active in sales. He's a new salesperson, so he's really trying to focus on growing his business and showing a little bit about himself. He's not looking for a new job or anything like that right this second, but he's still building his brand. So he wants to really focus, on some of the things he's doing at his current role. Richie, on the other hand, he's open to new experiences. He really wants people to know who he is as a person and have them take a look at his experiences down below. So the beauty of the about section is that you get to dictate how you frame your personal and professional brand in one spot. So I know that's a really general answer, but the bottom line is I want you to feel free to talk about whatever you want to talk about as it comes, that's important to you. If you want to talk about what you're doing outside of work and some of the things that you're doing, volunteer work, or what you like to do just for fun, you can do that on LinkedIn. It's totally up to you. I feel like I would like you to think about, what do you want people to think about you, and how do you want them to think about you? That's how I would think about it. If you're creating a brand, I want you to think about this as a way for you to create your brand. And so I actually was watching one of our courses about personal branding, and there was a great suggestion, which is to start with this idea to figure out what your brand is. By the way, Jermaine's slide deck talks about how to think about your personal branding. By asking one person that's known you for much longer than a year, describe me, and then somebody who knows you less than a year, describe me, so that you get an idea of what people think of you, and then craft your brand around, is that the way people you want to think about me, or the way you don't want them to think about you? So that's how I would think about the about section. How do you want people to think about you? Boom. I hope that answers your question, my man. All right. Somebody said that they, we discontinued the thing that says you're in the top 5% of users. It's not really a competition that way anymore. I think we want to go away from that, because that's kind of, it's not really the point. It's not really the point. We want to make sure that people are just active on LinkedIn and hopefully growing it organically. So I'm pretty sure we got rid of that feature. Cool. So let's go on to the next section that I want to talk about, which is really growing your network. And so, you know, for you guys on the call, again, I want to just stipulate that most of the time I talk about this for students, and so I always want to show them something important, and I want to show you guys that as well. It's an underutilized feature, may not be as important to you, but it is a great way to grow your network. And so that is to start with commonality, and usually the biggest commonality is where you went to school. So if you want to pull up any college or university in the United States, we have a company page for it. So let's say, for the sake of argument, you've gone to UC Irvine. You can pull up that school, and underneath or in the school page, we got 164,000 alumni. Now, remember what we talked about. We talked about the fact that LinkedIn wants to be a place where we connect you to opportunity. We want to, you know, create economic opportunity through a network. And one of the ways you can level the playing field is by giving people access to alumni. And that's what we've done on LinkedIn. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll notice this alumni tab. If you click on the alumni tab, what this does is it pulls up all 164,000 alumni that have gone to UCI. This school is where Jermaine happened to go. Now, what we do is we show you where they live, where they work, we show you where they do and what they studied. And the whole purpose for this is so that you can grow your network. It's not really to sell products. This is really meant for you to be able to organically grow your network. So for the sake of argument, if you want to know people that have gone to UCI, that are in Orange County, and that maybe are working in the same field that you're doing, the same type of work you're doing, let's say it's engineering, or let's say it's sales. What I'm doing. So you know that there are 2,600 people that have gone to UCI, living in Orange County, that are working in sales, and you can scroll down here to the bottom, and you can actually connect with them if you want to, and you can add a note, and you can organically grow your network. I always recommend that you click on adding a note. I really do, because if they don't know you, they're going to be wondering, why is Ryan reaching out to me? I have no idea why he's reaching out to me. So I would always recommend putting in a note when you don't know somebody that you're trying to connect with. Jose, you asked, do you recommend having the competition as part of your network? Man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. So I do have my competition as part of my network. Part of that is organically, because I was working for a previous online learning company for 7.5 years before I was recruited to LinkedIn. When LinkedIn acquired an online learning company, they wanted to bring in some people from outside the company to help them with this product. And so that's why I got the job here, fortunately for me. So in my network, I've got so many of my colleagues that are now all my competition. I'm not going to get rid of them, right? I'm not going to kick them to the curb. I think it's good to have them in your network, because you can obviously see what they're doing. They can see what you're doing. But it just, I don't think it's a bad thing for people that are in, technically quote unquote competition to be in your network. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. But again, this is your network, man. You do what you do you. It's totally up to you. Getting back to the finding alumni. This is just one of many tools that you can do. Growing your network another way. For example, let's say, Jose, you're thinking about, and this is again a free tool, but if you're thinking about, trying to find people and connect with those people within an organization, just about every company has a company page. So if you want to go to a company and grow your network within that company, you can easily do that. So you can search any company out there. So let's say search Netflix. We can search Netflix, click on the Netflix icon, and on the left-hand side, now this has been here forever, but it's really not intuitive. It's not great the way we present the information. So go all the way over here to the People tab. And guess what? We have the same kind of information. We tell you where they live, where they studied, and all that good stuff. So what you can do here is you can easily connect with people that have a commonality with you, right? If you're looking to try to grow your network within Netflix and you want to know, and you've gone to UCI, just type in UC, oops, come over here, type in UC Irvine, and you can see how many people have gone to UC Irvine that work at Netflix. And then you scroll down the bottom again and you can just hit connect. And you connect, and you always want to add a short note with your connection request. I keep hammering that, but it's super important. So that's another way for you to grow your network pretty organically. All right. The other thing that you can do, and this is another underutilized tool on LinkedIn, is to join groups. And the reason why it's underutilized is because the groups functionality was really terrible for a very long time. We just updated the groups functionality about 6 months ago, and a lot of people didn't realize that we updated the group functionality. And one of the biggest things that we did is that we now, anything that you put in your group, anything that you post in your group, and I'll show you here, will go on your feed. Before, they were two separate things. And so you'd have to go to the group section and you'd never, ever see any group in activity, never see any group members, because it was a completely different feed. And so that defeated the whole purpose. Nobody really used it. Now that we put it in one, it makes a huge impact on why you should be on a group, because it's easy to grow your network and grow your network, strategically. So if we want to do something like, let's do Hispanic, I guess we can do Hispanic, I don't know if we do, Hispanic Chamber. I guess we can do Hispanic associations. Let's do associations. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to type in Hispanic association, right? Now, what I want to do is I don't want to find people or jobs or content. What I want to do is I want to find groups that have to do with Hispanic associations. So we have National Hispanic Association of Journalists. Here's Hispanic Marketing Association. Maybe this is something you want to do. Hispanic Bar Association. So these are groups that you can join. And if you, let's say you want to be part of the Hispanic Marketing Association, you can click on this link. And what this does is it pulls up this group. You have to request to join. And what they're going to want to know why you want to join the Hispanic Marketing Association. You can see the two people that run the group. And once you join the group, here's the cool thing. So I'm going to actually go to a group that I'm part of, and you can see the difference. Once you're part of that group, it opens up all of the content that they're posting. And remember, all of this content is posted on, this content is posted not only in the group feed, but it's also posted on your LinkedIn feed. And that's really the powerful thing about the groups now, because you can be part of a group that's really going to help you with your brand and help you with your, if you're trying to sell something or if you're trying to grow your business. This is a great way for you to grow your business. It's a great way for you to find like-minded individuals. So this is, again, underutilized, and we've got tens of thousands of groups. I mean, I'm guaranteeing you there's a group in here that is related to what you're interested in. You'd be surprised. We've got welding groups. We've got HVAC groups. We've got automotive groups. Trust me, it's probably here. The other cool thing about the groups that people don't realize, and this is a newer feature as well, is this area over here, the see all. Now, the beauty of this is that when you click on the see all, you now get to communicate with anybody that's in the group. You can message them directly. So in this case, one of the biggest reasons people get premium is because they want to be able to direct message people that they're not connected to. And we eliminate that. We don't want you to DM anybody. First of all, obviously there's a monetization aspect. So I'm not going to lie that obviously monetization is a part of it. But the other part of it is we don't want LinkedIn to be this sales engine platform where you get onto LinkedIn and you just get bombarded with people messaging you, right? Again, we want something that is more organic and more authentic. And so if you're not connected to me, you can't message me unless you have premium. And if you have premium, you can only really message 5 people a month. That's it, that you're not connected with. But if you're connected in a group, because you're connected through that group and you have that same commonality, you're able to message that person through the group chat. How cool is that? It's a free feature nobody uses. And messaging people really, really helps move the needle when you're talking about growing your network. So if we're talking about the 3 stages of, or the 3 steps you need to do when you're on LinkedIn to make the most of your brand, we talked about your profile. Now we've talked about growing your network. And I've shown you a few different ways to actually grow your network super organically, very easy to do, and consistently. And that's the thing I like to show is anytime you're on LinkedIn, the idea is that you can engage with the LinkedIn feed and you can engage with members by growing. One of the ways you do that is just by growing your network. All right. Another question I got is, how can I make or create my network very local? I think really on that one, Jose, I would really focus on, using our tools to find people that are local to you. So you can do the finding people through the alumni feed, or you can do it through Netflix. Through the company feeds and going into the people tab and going, look, I just want people who live in Orange County. So I can type in here, Orange County, California area, boom. So this might be, it's a few clicks, but every one of our company pages now has this information. So you could really focus on Orange County folks. I'm wondering you can also do this. So let's do Orange County, and I'm gonna just hit enter because I'm just doing a Google search. So I'm gonna, not a Google search, a Boolean search. And then I'm gonna just hit people. And then you can see here, the people tab. You have the ability to do some additional filters. So if you wanna just additional filters with people, here we've got about 1.4 million people that say they're located in Orange County. So that's how I would do it. Is I would just pick a place you want to do it, or pick an area you want to do it, and just keep focusing on that. I like that idea of keeping your network local. But I'm going to push back on that a little bit in just a second. Miriam, this session is being recorded, so you should be good to go. So with regard to the local network, when you think about your network, I think a lot of us are under the impression that our first degree connections and the people that we know the best are going to be the ones that are going to help us the most with our career, right? And that's not the case anymore. And the reason why is because of scale. So again, I always do this. And when I tell students, you can connect with me. Anybody on this call, you want to connect with me, connect away. I love growing my network. So if you want to connect with me, connect with me. Now, the question I have for you is, am I going to be able to help your business? I live in Orange County, you live in Orange County, and I'm Hispanic, and but what is the probability of me helping your business right now or tomorrow? It may not be very good, but what about my network? What about the people in my network that you don't even know? And what about the people that are in my network and that are in their network? And so when you think about social media, your weaker connections are the most important connections. That's why the next step I'm going to talk about is posting content, because the weaker connections are going to be the ones that stumble upon your content, stumble upon your profile, or stumble upon your business page and go, oh my God, I need Jose, man. I need that service right now. And that's the deal. That's why LinkedIn is so powerful. And that's why posting content is so powerful, because it's your first degree connections are the ones that are going to get you to their second degree and their third degree and their fourth degree connections, people I don't even know. And so I like the idea of keeping your network local, but at the same time, I think that you never know when you connect with somebody who's in Chicago and they see your content, they like it or they comment on it, and that person knows somebody in New York, and that person comments on it, and that person in New York knows somebody in Orange County who saw your post. You see what I'm saying? The power of social media is through the weaker connections, and that is where it's impossible. It's such an exponential thing. It's impossible to really articulate how important it is to have a large network so that their network works for them, works for you as well. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so third thing I want to talk about, last thing I want to talk about in the last 15 minutes is posting content. Now, content is this is the most difficult thing for most people. Now, if you'll notice right here front and center, it says start a post. All right, that's you notice our profile is nowhere to be found on the feed. Everything is about the feed. We want, you know, news information and information people are posting to you, sending, you know, that you're connected with, and then your groups. All of this is about, you know, contributing to the feed. So what you can do here is you can start a post. You can click on start a post right here, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you're a business owner, you can, you know, find an expert. If you are sharing your hiring, you can do that as well, right? Obviously, you can see all of this. Referring a connection, this is an amazing thing. Celebrating a kid, you can do any of that. But starting a post and posting content is the most important thing, and it's the hardest thing to do, to be real honest with you. Eduardo, you asked, you know, sometimes post in English, sometimes in Spanish. That is okay. Totally okay. You do you. I think it's super important to be authentic and be hitting that audience you want to hit. You can create multiple profiles in multiple languages. I can show you how to do that real quickly while we're on this subject. So if you'd want to switch between the two, you can. So under your view profile, you'll notice here, add profile in another language. And so these two profiles are attached to each other. So LinkedIn knows you're the same person, but you have one in a different language. So I'm just throwing that out there if you wanted to do that. But I do think it's a good idea to do posts in multiple languages. That's totally cool. So as far as creating a post, for any of you guys that are on other social media, it's just like other social media. You can type whatever you want to talk about. You know, this is a great event, right? Or thanks for the invite, right? If you went to, let's say you went to a networking event, you can take a picture of when you were at a networking event. You record the networking event. You can record what you're doing, your business, whatever you want to do. You can put that on there. And then you can tag people. And when you tag people, you just hit the @ sign and you can say you know, I'm going to say Amanda, whatever. Boom. I'm going to do Amanda's colleague of mine. And now, pro tip here, if you don't want to have the first name and last name, just hit backspace once or delete. And it eliminates the last name, but it still tags the correct person. What are your thoughts or whatever? You can say whatever you want to do, right? And then you can add hashtags. We obviously give you hashtag advice. We don't recommend 15,000 hashtags. We recommend between 3 and 5. We recommend one hashtag be your own hashtag, something that is yours, like for your brand, and then something you can share for others because you want people to be able to find your content. The other thing that you can do here, if you're not comfortable with posting content, is let's say you've read an interesting industry article. So let's go to like the LA Times. I can copy the URL up here, and I can go over to my LinkedIn feed, and I can just paste in the LA Times URL here and check it out. It brings in this LA Times article. It has the thumbnail URL here too, the thumbnail image URL. So you can even delete this. It still keeps this LA Times URL. Now you're contributing to the feed very easily because you guys are all reading industry articles all the time. Think about if you join a group, you can read an interesting blog or interesting post and share it with that group. It also goes on their feed. So this is where you really kill it with growing your network and adding content. So super easy to do and super impactful. And again, you can record content, you can show pictures, you can import other articles and news things you want to contribute that way in the feed. But really, it's all about putting yourself out there and contributing back to the feed. Now, real quickly, I'll get to your. I'm going to show you guys again how to get back and change your profile to do multiple languages. Before I do that, I want to just want to touch on one thing, which is that there is an idea within social media marketing. It's a pretty interesting idea, and it's a really easy concept to remember. It's the 4-1-1 principle of social media marketing. 411 means in a week, given amount of time, but usually within a week. Because if you really want to build your brand on LinkedIn, you need to be on LinkedIn every day. And I'm not talking for hours a day, not like I am on Instagram or whatever. You know, for 5 to 10 minutes a day, you're doing way more than most. And that's not a heavy lift. Let's just be honest, not a heavy lift to be on LinkedIn for 5 or 10 minutes. Read an search article, like a couple of posts, try to connect with somebody, post your own content. It doesn't take very long. The 411 methodology is that I want to do 4 posts that are just giving back to the feed. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not pitching anything. I'm just saying, these are 4 things I want to contribute to the feed. 1 post to advertise your company. 1 post is like, here's what my company does and why you should work with my company. And then 1 post if you're actually selling a product. Here's what our product is and here's why you should buy our product. That way you can be consistently building your brand and people aren't like, oh, damn, he's posting on LinkedIn again. He wants me to buy his product. Every time Ryan's on LinkedIn, he wants to sell me something. Then nobody's going to think that, because most of your posts are not going to be about you selling anything. Most of your posts are about you giving back to the feed. So I want you guys to keep that in mind when you're posting content. 411. Make sure that most of your posts are actually giving back to the feed. Now, getting back to real quickly how to change the profile. You can go under View Profile, or you can just click on your face over here on the left-hand side. By the way, remember I told you how branded. This is my background photo branded for LinkedIn. On the right-hand side of the page, add profile in another language. It's how easy you can add your profile in Spanish. So yes, you do have the ability to add your profile and make it in English and a profile in Spanish. Now, it does not translate. So this does not, you wouldn't want it to translate anyway. I'm sure the auto translations are terrible. So you actually have to create your profile in your separate language, but this does connect the 2 of them together, which is kind of nice. Richard, you mentioned the groups feature has a reputation of being a valuable tool, but many of the opinions as well as my experience has been negative. Yeah, I don't know what we can do. You can definitely create your own group. And we are working to continually enhance the product, enhance the groups. I don't know if Richard, if you were on here recently, hopefully the new experience of groups is better for you because it's more open. You know what I'm saying? It's not just within the group. Within that group page, it also goes on your feed, on every member's feed. And so if people are saying things that are inappropriate or not right, then it's going to be seen by more of the group members, and hopefully the group members will hold them accountable. But I'm not going to see it. So if I'm not a member of that group, I will never see that content. So it's got its pluses and minuses. I'm sorry to hear that it hasn't been the best experience. Creating your own group, I think, is a great idea, because it allows you to really, start thought leadership and start a group around something that's near and dear to you. It's super easy to start a group. Really easy to build that community if you want to. I work with a lot of colleges and universities, and so what I'm trying to get them to do is I'm trying to get them to create groups around different divisions and connecting with you guys and connecting with industry, so that there can be a group of students, let's say, and again, I go back to automotive because I'm super automotive junkie here. But let's say it's an automotive group, and you can bring in all these automotive industry professionals, and let's say they're at, community college locally, right? They can be in part of that group and, relating to one another, mentoring one another. The industry professionals can mentor some students, connect with students, and then hopefully offer them opportunities. Real quickly, to create a group, it's super easy to do. You can just click on this work tab and then click on groups and then just click on create group. I mean, that's how easy it is to create a group. It's super, super easy to create groups. And that is part of LinkedIn. Regular LinkedIn is not part of premium. So everything I've covered today is free. Hopefully this has made an impact. I'm coming up on the top of the hour and the end of our time here. I hope you can tell that I'm super, super passionate about this. I think we have an opportunity with our platform to really make an impact. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, Normally, I spend a little bit of time going and showing you guys the user interface through a phone. Everything I've shown you today, you can do on your phone. There's one thing I want to point out on the phone when you're trying to connect with somebody. There's a connect button, a connect icon, and there is also an icon that looks like a person with a little plus sign next to it. Do not click on those or do not tap on those, because they don't allow you to personalize the invitation. What you need to do is you need to actually tap on the person's name and then tap on either the word more, or there are 3 dots next to the word connect. And those 3 dots will allow you to do a personalized invitation. It's a little bit of a pain in the booty, but it's the way our system is set up right now. So that's the only drawback. But the alumni information, or the business networking information, or the groups, everything I've shown you, it's all on your phone, your mobile device. You actually can record information on the fly, just like you can on Instagram Live or Facebook Live. You can record video on the fly, post it on LinkedIn. You can add stickers. You can add all kinds of information to it, because we want more people to use that feature functionality. And 70% of our traffic is on a mobile device. So here's my not test to you, but what I'm asking you and urging you guys to do is to try to change your habits a little bit, right? I know we're all super busy. We all are very, very busy. There's a lot going on. But if we carve out a little bit of your habits, take a little bit of your time away from these other social media platforms that you're on, and put them on LinkedIn, I really feel like it's going to make a big impact. And speaking from the experience I have working with so many students, so many first gen, so many underrepresented students, they need more business and industry contacts. And we have an opportunity, LinkedIn, free platform to connect people to opportunity, and to hopefully help the next generation along that we're going to need desperately here in a little bit. So that's my spiel. That's all I have to really talk about. Do you guys have any other questions before we wrap up? Jose, thank you so much for the feedback, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for asking questions and being interactive. That really, really makes the time go by much more quickly. This is going to get recorded. And like I mentioned, Miriam, you missed the beginning. I do have a slide deck. I will give that slide deck to the organizers here right now, and they can disseminate that information to you guys. You guys are more than welcome to use it. So for everybody that's on the call, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you to LinkedIn for the great partnership with the Chamber. Thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Be safe. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.